Good evening. This is a talk on the future of Chile. Chile is a very long, narrow country with a long history, a lot of which is actually quite democratic, with the 9/11 in Chile, that is September 11th, 1973, and the violent coup that took place under the leadership of Pinochet, who then ruled Chile dictatorially with his cronies for a number of years. Chile went into a decline, but since the restoration of democracy, Chile has come back and has become, I think, one of the better governed countries in Latin America. However, we have to recognize that compared to large economies like Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Chile actually is quite small in economic terms. It is long and narrow, but small in terms of economic size. The GDP at purchasing power parity of Chile in 2015 was only $424.3 billion. Its growth rate also is not very high. It's 2.3% only. Its per capita income, however, is $23,800, which is in purchasing power parity terms as well. And that puts it actually above Argentinian GDP per capita at purchasing power parity. So Chile is a middle income country definitely, and in per capita terms, it is the Latin American country with highest per capita income. And its GDP determination is 63.7% household consumption. Government expenditure is only 13.2%. Investment is 20.6%. It has a rather small agricultural sector and larger industrial sector than other Latin American countries. Its industrial sector is 35% of the GDP. It is also small in terms of labor force. The labor force is between 8 and 9 million people, but even so, they have unemployment rate officially at 6.4%. Unofficial unemployment rate is, I would estimate, close to 10%. And they have still about 15% below poverty line. But given that Chile is a long, narrow country, and there are many ethnic minorities, Mapuche being one of the most prominent ones, poverty among the indigenous peoples is much higher than the national poverty rate, and that is something that we should remember. Consumption by lowest 10% in Chile is only 1.5%, and highest 10% consumes 42.8%. So you can compute that ratio, and highest to lowest would be pretty high in case of Chile. And it's indicated in their Gini index, which is 52.1%, 0.52, which is very high Gini index. It's in the same league as Brazil's. They do run a budget deficit, and they do collect enough taxes, but in terms of public expenditures for health, education, social welfare, Chile actually could do much better than it is doing now. It also needs to change its export-import structure. It basically exports primary products, especially copper, fruits, paper, pulp, etc. Wine is also a recent addition. So wine is more of a finished good in this list. But they have to import petroleum and all the chemical, electrical, telecom products, and motor vehicles and gas. And they do have a current account deficit, which is predictable. They do a lot of business with North America, US, Brazil, Argentina, But China really is their major partner for both exports and imports, and therefore Chile has a high stake in maintaining a good relationship with China. At the same time, Chile has signed up on Trans-Pacific Partnership, from which China is excluded. So in political terms, I'm not sure that this was a wise thing for Chile to do, especially as my calculations, as well as calculations by most unbiased economists, that is economists who are not consultants for TPP, would show is very little, and some people in Chile will be hurt, especially the indigenous people. So in Chile, the situation doesn't look too bad as far as immediate economic conditions are concerned, and the political moves, and ruled by a mild kind of social democratic regime is not bad either. On the other hand, Chilean leadership has been too modest in helping the Chilean people, and they have been too eager to basically collaborate with the US as the participation in TPP shows. The future of Chile actually lies in diversifying its economy, diversifying its trade and relationships in terms of diplomacy with powers beyond North America. So that would be my prognosis in terms of what is desirable for Chile to do from now on. But fortunately, Chile is a stable, quasi-democratic country at least. Democracy is not too deep, even in Chile, but it is deeper than most other democracies in the Latin American region. And therefore, one can hope that Chilean democracy will become deeper, and Chilean foreign policy will show more flexibility, and Chilean economic policy will lead towards diversification and improvement of the standard of living, especially for the poorer segments of the population, and particularly the indigenous peoples in Chile. Thank you.